The question of administrative reforms proposed by the present government has excited a little bit of discussion, debate, even criticism. But in fact, I think it is agreed that this service structure has been crying for reform. We have had in the training program revision of the curriculum suggested by Dr. Y.K. Alag under the previous government, the UPA 1 I think it was, and there are various suggestions floating. The question that is the administrative reforms proposed at present, one is on the question of the UPSC recruitment process. It has been suggested that they should not be directly into the services, but the services allocated after a period of training. And then the second one, which is also invited in a bit of debate, is lateral entry into the services at the level of Joint Secretary. Now both, there can be something to say for or against. So far as the entry into the service is concerned, where is it felt that these should be allocated once the training process is gone? It is suggested at the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, of which I have been director, there the allocation should be done after the foundation course, which is a 3-month course. Now I've also discussed this with people who have had experience in training. The academy is not equipped to do this job. It cannot, within 3 months, allow the candidate himself or herself and the academy itself to decide as to which is the appropriate service for the person. Because at that point, the foundation course is meant to be a discovery course. That the people who are incumbents, who are candidates, are themselves learning as to what they are required to do during the service. So during that 3 months, which has a large number of people and a small category of staff, and even at present, the National Academy of Administration is not fully staffed. They're short of staff. No doubt the staff is outstanding. But however outstanding it may be, it also has to be adequate to actually do the job. That it is not, despite all the state-of-the-art facilities that are available in the National Academy of Administration. The second part, the lateral induction, the idea is to bring in new ideas. The criticism is that people will bring the political favorites in and therefore politically color the services. Well, here also, this is not something new. Lateral induction has been taking place for some time. A good example is Mr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia, Mr. Lavraj Kumar. They were inducted at the level of Secretary to Government or Additional Secretary to Government to bring in a degree of specialization into the services. And there's much to be said of bringing in fresh minds at higher levels of the administration. But again, it has to be structured. Otherwise, if you just bring in laterally people from outside, irrespective of what exactly you want them to do, and then bring them into the system, then they have to work as part of a system. But the system is not one that is actually encouraging to new ideas. So the change has to really take place in the system. And therefore, my suggestions have been, and I have also argued this case in public, is that what is required is a complete overhaul of the concept of civil services in India. The civil service structure in India is based directly on the old structure of the imperial civil services, going back all the way to the Mughal times. The office of the district magistrate, for example, owes its origins to the Mughal system of the Amal Guzar, and the secretariat service owes itself to the colonial system imposed by the British. But we are a modern, flourishing democracy. It is time that we grew out of this. As we became independent, it was not possible to make those changes straight away, particularly because the country was going through a partition, and particularly because it was breaking out of the shackles of a colonial past. But now the time has come. Changes have been made. Changes continue to take place. We now have a flourishing system of Panchayati Raj. We now have a flourishing right to information system. All these are components of democracy, and the present government, when its manifesto proclaimed transparency and accountability. Transparency and accountability have to be the main feature of governance, which it is not today, despite the RTI Act, and therefore these measures should all be so designed that they work towards that, and therefore there should be an overall design. Maybe it can be implemented in phases. It doesn't have to be implemented overnight, but the government should be clear, the public should be clear as to what is the reform that is being contemplated and how it is proposed to be brought about.